Hi, welcome back to another episode of Candid Conversations. Thank you for joining me again. I'm so excited that you decided to tune in for another episode. Do me a favor before we get started. I want you to make sure that you are that your notifications are on, that you are subscribed to my channel on YouTube, which is Valencia Danielle. Make sure you are also following me on social media, on Instagram at I am Valencia Danielle, and The Right Agency LLC, and Facebook Valencia Danielle. So thank you so much for all of those that have subscribed, but don't forget to turn on those notifications so that you don't miss a thing. So I'm so excited about today's episode because we have a special guest that not only is a licensed professional, but also a personal friend of mine. And I'm so excited that she decided to come and talk to us about mental health. Mental health is so important. May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. And I'm so excited that she decided to sit down with us and give us some more information and on why mental health is important and how we can implement it in our lives. A lot of us, sometimes we are ashamed of therapy or don't want to do therapy or go to counseling, but it's so vital and important. And I'm so excited that she's here to share some tips and help us to better understand why mental health awareness and why therapy or counseling is so vital and so important. So please welcome my special guest, LaShonda Gammell.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. You look pretty.
Me too. Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. So I always wanted to know how therapists, what makes them get into that line of work, therapy, because I know it's a lot. You're dealing with different personalities. You're dealing with all kinds of things. What made you get into therapy? Let's start there.
So I went to school and got my bachelor's in human services. I've always known that I wanted to help, and I just didn't know exactly how.
Okay.
So I started off with a bachelor's in human services. Once I graduated, I started working as a case manager. And I really didn't pre-plan becoming a therapist, but as a case manager, I started recognizing that there were deeper rooted issues when I was working with.
Okay.
I worked with a population that was at risk for homelessness. And so I'm going in and I'm doing budgeting and helping them try to figure out how to maintain their housing, to be stable financially. And I'm recognizing that a lot of times it has nothing to do with the money at all.
Wow.
It's deeper rooted trauma that was there. And sometimes as I'm doing the budget, some of those things start to come out.
Wow.
And they're talking about the trauma that they may have encounter as a child or even in adulthood.
Right.
So there are things that they've been through, and the budget isn't going to fix that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I recognized that there was a need. And for me, I felt like I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to be able to help that population on a much larger scale.
Right.
And to really make a long-lasting difference.
Yes.
For that, I had to go back and get a master's in counseling.
Wow.
And so that started my road to becoming a therapist. And then I've just continued from there. It's been a process, even to go through the process to become licensure.
Right.
Took years.
Wow.
So yes, it's been a journey,
right.
But I'm loving every minute of it.
Right. And I love it. And I love because not only did you go in and you pursued and got your license in therapy, but you started your own business, which is Dreams and Visions, which I am a proud advocate. I got my life coaching certification through her business, which was amazing. So definitely I would recommend anyone to hit her up, contact her through Dreams and Visions. Can you provide the website?
Yes, the website is dreamsandvisionsatl.com.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about Dreams and Visions and how that came about, and what, because of you going to school and interacting with those cases, that you felt like, I want to make a long-lasting, impression, and I want to help people. That kind of pushed you into, I want to have my own business. Were you under another practice at one point?
Yes. Okay. So I worked for several different agencies before I started my own.
Okay.
And working for other agencies was definitely a push to start my own.
Okay.
So I took the things unfortunately, with some of the agencies I worked for in the past, there were challenges, not being treated the way that I felt mental health professionals should be treated.
Right, I get that.
There were times, unfortunately, where paychecks were bouncing, and
oh no,
and so I asked God, I said, if you help me to build this business, I will make sure that we don't do it that way.
Right.
I will make sure that the people that work for me are treated in the most fair way that I can possibly treat them.
Yes.
That we're not having checks.
Right.
That is unacceptable.
Right.
So, yes, that pushed me into starting to create dreams and visions.
Okay.
And again, that was a journey. It took some time, but I knew that I wanted to provide mental health services in a different way.
Right.
And so now that brings us to the current dreams and visions that provides counseling, assessments, marriage, family, individual counseling, and then also coaching.
Yes.
We recently added the coaching. We
yes.
not only have the coaching program that Valencia was telling you about that she went through, but we also provide now coaching services.
Wow.
So that's a new service
yes.
that we're offering.
And tell them, the audience, the difference, because a lot of times when people approach me and they're like, okay, I have this traumatic experience or this issue, I have to then recommend a therapist for them because there's a difference between life coaching and counseling or therapy. Can you tell the audience the difference between those two? Because a lot of people get that confused.
Yes, so there is a difference between coaching and counseling. The most simple way that I can put it to help everyone understand is that coaching focuses more on the future and where you're trying to get in your journey, whereas counseling helps you to take a step back and look at your past, and it helps you to work through whatever issues may have come up from things that happened in the past.
Right.
So a good way to kind of think of it is counseling past, coaching future.
Yes, and that's perfect. And a lot of times I feel like us, especially in our culture, we shun therapy and counseling. I am a witness. I have went through therapy, and I feel like I want to start that process again because there are some areas in my life that I want to uncover, and I want to continue to evolve and to grow. And a lot of times growing up, they instill in us that there is an issue with you, or there's something wrong with you if you need counseling. Yes. And there are just some underlying things that you need to identify, and then maybe you know why you're going down that path, or you're making the decisions that you're making. So I want to encourage our audience, our viewers, that don't dismiss therapy or counseling, because it can be very helpful for you, and it can help you, especially if you're trying to go into new relationships, start a business, start things. It'll help you identify things in yourself. Can you talk to that a little bit? Because I think it's important, but it's not talked about enough, especially in our culture, especially in the church. And I want us to talk to that.
Yes. So there's definitely a stigma with mental health. Something that other colleagues that I've talked to, other mental health professionals, we're always trying to break that stigma. Right. So it's an ongoing fight.
Right.
To help people recognize that you don't have to look at counseling in such a negative way.
Right.
It's I'm not crazy. If I'm going to counseling, I'm crazy. You mentioned religion. Sometimes there's the thought process of God can fix God can fix it.
Right.
And therefore I don't need counseling. Right. But as one of my mentors says, let's put therapy with prayer. Yes. Let's combine the two, because there are specific things that you can get from a mental health professional, as far as ways to deal with what's going on, exploring the thoughts more deep in a deeper way. Right. That you may not be able to get at church. Right. So let's combine the two, and I love that you brought that up. But let me finish with the stigma. The culture within the Black community, unfortunately, is even more of a stigma. Right. So what we're taught growing up a lot of times is what happens in our house stays in our house. Exactly.
Don't tell nobody. What was that, John Witherspoon? Don't tell nobody.
You are not allowed to tell anybody what's going on in the house. So we have to take that thought away.
Right.
That rule, we have to remove it. Because if we were able to go out and get a professional that could help us with what was going on in the house, maybe the house, we wouldn't even have to have the secrets.
Right.
There would be no reason for us to keep those things in. We're doing ourselves a disservice by trying to cover up our dysfunction.
Listen, I love that. Can you say that again?
I just came up with that.
Listen, let them use you, okay?
We're doing ourselves a disservice by trying to cover up our dysfunction.
Wow.
Yes, I have to keep using that.
Listen.
Yeah. Our dysfunction in the house, we're trying to cover it up, but actually what we need to do is talk about it. We don't want to carry that on generationally.
Right. And do you think because their parents didn't talk about it and train them, like you said, it's that thing, like, you know, it stays here, but they want to get it out. It's like they want to talk about it, but then is another thing. And that reminds me of choosing the right therapist is important.
Very important.
You want to make sure that every therapist is not for you. And I feel like even going through the therapy process with Dreams and Visions, fortunately, all her staff is very well trained, very professional, very caring, empathetic, all of those things. And that's very rare to find in a agency or in a business for all of them to be on one accord. However, there are some agencies, there are some services that do not have the best, like you said, you've come from previous companies that they did not, you know, have that service, and they weren't empathetic, they weren't caring, they did not care about the person. It was just like, let me just help you right now, and then we're going to the next thing. Yes. But I think it's so important to choose the right person for you. How do you suggest people go about that?
That's very important. And you almost want to take the time to interview therapists ahead of time. Read their bios, go to their website, investigate, see if you think it's going to be a good fit for you. But what I do tell clients, once you find someone that you're willing to work with, give them at least 3 to 4 sessions.
Okay.
Don't fire them immediately if they do something that you don't like. Because what happens sometimes is that a therapist will challenge what your thoughts. Right. They will challenge what you're doing now, and so people can sometimes run. Right. They're thinking like, oh, she didn't work out for me. No. Sometimes they're going to be uncomfortable conversations even with your therapist. Wow. So yes, find the right person, but don't just run just because you're being challenged in your thought process. Right.
That's good. It was something else you were going to say before the
segment. Going back to when you mentioned the religion piece of it, that is one piece that's very different with Dreams and Visions. I allow God to really lead in my business. Yes. And for that reason, you will see some differences when comparing them to most agencies. Right. So my group practice, all of my therapists that I have working with me right now are women of God. Wow. We're able to incorporate spirituality when needed. Right. Not saying that you have to be spiritual or a religious person to come to us. But if you do, we can definitely incorporate that. Right. And so I love that God has led me in this direction where we're able to both to integrate the theology and the psychology. Yes. And so the program that I'm in, I'm working on a PhD in counseling and psychological studies, and I really have to give a lot of credit to my school, Regent University. Wow. For helping me to learn how to incorporate the two. Wow. I knew God called me to be a therapist. Right. He said, go out, help my people. And but I had no clue exactly how that looked. Wow. How do you bring the two together? Right, it's like God is telling me to do this. I know how to do therapy. Right. I went to school for years. I figured that piece out. Right. Now how do I bring God into it? Wow. And so God is allowing Dreams and Visions to just become a place of integration. Yes. We don't have to, we're not throwing the Bible at you.
Right. And they don't. Right.
We're not throwing the Bible at you. But if that's something that you're interested in exploring, we can definitely do that with you.
And what I love about it is you're not throwing the Bible, but because of your approach, it's intriguing to them. Like, okay, it's something different about this program. It's something different about you guys. I want to know more about what you do, how are you feeling like that, and then that allows you an opportunity to introduce them to why you are the way you are, you know what I'm saying? So I love it.
Yes, I love every single person on my staff.
Yes,
they are amazing.
They are.
And what you just described is simply you being you, allowing God to use you, and you shine.
Yes.
That shine is definitely there on my staff members, and I'm so grateful for them.
And a personal session right now for me, this is Candid Conversations, and I like to be very candid about my life and me, and these last few weeks have been like I feel lost. And you feel like you're starting a new thing. Candid Conversations is new for me. Starting my own business is new. And it can be a bit overwhelming because I'm a type of person, I'm not the most patient person. And I'm used to things just coming to me easy. And I never had a desire to be an entrepreneur. I never had a desire. I didn't never see myself in this aspect. Like I always knew my feelings of what I wanted to do, but I always wanted that quick route there. So going through the process is very... I wouldn't say draining, but it can be frustrating because it takes a lot of work, and I'm not big on social media as far as like navigating, using the tools. So I feel, and I struggled a lot in my past with depression. So I feel myself pushing through and trying to constantly overcome. It's like every time I feel like I'm overcoming something, the enemy comes with something else. Like coming here today, saints, was a battle, and to have to come and then interview was like, it's not me being fake, because once I get into my element, I feel good. But it's just like, why do I feel like I'm under attack, and I'm also trying to maintain my mental health to be in a positive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How do I balance that?
Oh, and if I had the answer on how to help everybody balance, I would probably be like the richest person in the world. It's definitely a individual, case by case. You have to figure out how to balance what's going on in your life at that time. Me, I am definitely the person with a million things on my plate, and I'm constantly trying to figure out how to balance. Right. Now, I don't always get it right. Right. So sometimes I'm like, okay, in this season, I have to definitely allow God to tell me what should be on my plate. Right. Right. That's number one. Right. First thing, what's on my plate? Let's make sure God told me to have it there. Right. Because you'll start overwhelming yourself with things that God didn't call you to do anyway. Yes. And so therefore, you're taking away the energy that you need to do what God did tell you to do. Right. Now you're tired, exhausted, can't get to what you need to. So first, making sure that, and that would be a good something that could be addressed with coaching. So because you're trying to organize to make sure that what's going on right now in the present and in the future looks the way you want it to be. So listing out everything that you're doing right now. And saying, God, what do you need me to remove? Do you need me to add anything? Making sure that is exactly where he wants it to be. Right. And then once you're figuring out, okay, this is what God called me to do. This should be on my plate right now. Right. Then is automatically gonna kind of encourage you, because you know God told you to do it. Right. Right. So it's like, okay, I know I might have a lot going on. This may be challenging. Right. The enemy may be attacking, but I know God told me to do it. Right. Yes. That part will help you push through when nothing else does. And you're right about that, because I know I've sat down. Being a coach, I know how to organize. So that's one thing I feel like is a strong point. And my thing is, I feel like I'm not doing enough. It's just the little bit I have, I'm not motivated enough to do it. You have to give yourself some grace. You do. And I'm always hard on myself. Like, I am extra hard on myself. I just want the easy way out. Lord. I'm sure, just like Jesus, like, Lord, if any way you can take this cup from me.
Right.
Let's take the cup away. But sometimes he needs you to have that cup.
Right.
And it won't always be easy, but show yourself grace in the process. Show
yourself grace. I love that. See, this is why she's a therapist, because she speaks with such grace and such love. And one thing I do love about you, LaShonda, no matter what, your biggest advice that I've noticed is pray about it. Like, even if you would give some type of advice or say something, say, well, this is what I feel, blah, 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 but still pray about it. Like, I remember when I said, I want to go on this trip and this trip. She said, yeah, that sounds fun, but still pray about it and see if I'm like, oh, even to go on the trip. But that is so important. We make so many moves and we jump into things, relationships, jobs, partnerships, and we don't seek God first. Yes. And then we wonder why things happen the way that they happen. Go ahead.
It's falling apart. Right. We're trying to figure out why is it falling apart. God never told you to do it.
He never told you to do it. But then we try to ignore him. We don't listen. We don't pay attention to the red flags or the signs that come about. And that used to be me, even in relationships, not paying attention to those signs. You see that the man gets mad so fast. You see his temper. You see he ain't right. He dirty. He just, has a wandering eye. And then you're like, I don't understand how he slept with Susie John. Oh no, he might sleep with John too. I don't know. But Susie, Sarah, all these people. I don't understand why that happened. But you had the signs.
You overlooked it.
And I feel that's another mental thing, because we're accepting things that we don't have to accept. And that could be, do we think less of ourselves? Do we feel like we're not good enough? Do we feel like we deserve this because of how we've been treated in our life? I mean, I don't understand why. I think back and now I know why I accepted those things, because I had low self-esteem. I wasn't as confident in myself, so I felt like this is the best I can do. But now that I know my worth, I won't accept, a certain thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a blessing in it.
Yeah, and you can look back on it and encourage yourself in the future, knowing, think about who your father is.
Yes.
The God that I serve would not want X, Y, and Z for me.
Right.
And so it really, when you're talking about making poor decisions for yourself or even in a relationship, let's go back to that relationship with God.
Yes.
Is it where it needs to be? Mm-hmm. Were you in his presence enough that you could feel and hear what he was trying to get through to you? Because he would tell us pretty quickly. When I recognize, like, oh, I'm making bad decisions in the past, but I'm married now, thank God.
Rest.
But when dating, I recognize, oh, I'm making decisions that I know aren't best for me. Right. When I started to actually bring God into that decision-making process, 10 times easier.
Wow.
I'm not spending a year with someone who God didn't intend for me to be with.
Listen.
It take few weeks. I'm recognizing like, oh, okay, you're nice, but you're not the one.
Listen.
This isn't going to work out. And that's okay.
Yes.
Everybody can be good people,
but not good
doesn't
for you.
mean that that's the person that God intended for you to spend the rest of your life with.
Yes, testify. Come on, she preaching. Oh yes, that is so true, because we waste so much time, and I know in my past I wasted so many years that I can't get back, and I just realize that more and more each day, that time is something you just can't get back, and it's so valuable, which is why I try to be intentional with my thoughts, with my words, with my actions, because time is something we can't get back. So I thank you. Do you have anything else that you want to add or say?
I appreciate you allowing me to be here.
Yes.
Just coming out sharing. I will say, with counseling just in general, trying to bring down that stigma, just try not to look at it as a negative thing.
Yes.
We are seeing more and more in the media where there are celebrities and athletes and
advocating for it.
Right, that are advocating and saying, let's work on our mental health. Right. Find the right person for you and make sure that you get what you need. The same way we go to the primary care physician for checkups, we should be going to a mental health professional to get checkups as well.
Right. So thank you for that. That's
You're
so
welcome.
important. Mental health is important. We need to seek that counseling, that therapy. Do not let anyone talk you out of it. Find the best person or the best agency for you. But if you are struggling and like, who can I contact? Just in the meantime, you can contact Dreams and Visions. That's dreamsandvisionsatl.com.
Yes.
Dreamsandvisionsatl.com. So thank you, LaShonda, for joining us for Candid Conversations. We appreciate you pouring into us and teaching us something we didn't already know. So I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you. And now for our next part, we're going to have my little boo, Alanna, come. She has a book that she wrote, Confidence is the Way. Now joining us is Alanna Lane-Ford, my little niece, my little boo thing. This is LaShonda's daughter, Alanna Lane-Ford, and she wrote this amazing book. Okay, Confidence is the Way. This is my copy. So you're going to have to get your copy, and she signs it for you too, okay? And it comes with this cute little bookmark. And I invited Alanna today because this, like I said, this is Mental Awareness Month, and confidence is a big part of that. I know, Alanna, I struggled with confidence growing up. I know I'm fine and everything, but I still struggled because it took me a long time to know that not only was I beautiful inside, but beautiful on the outside. And this book is so vital, especially to the youth, to the young people. And I'm so proud of you for writing this book. It's so inspiring. I showed my little nieces and they just loved it. And it actually inspired my niece to write a book. So you're inspiring so many young people to go forth and walk in their purpose. So the book is, like I said, Confidence is the Way. Author is Alanna Lane-Ford. So tell us, what inspired you, Alanna, to write this book?
What inspired me to write Confidence is the Way is the thought of helping other kids that struggle with anxiety.
Really? That's good. And what is Confidence is the Way? What is the book about?
Confidence is the Way is about a little girl named Kennedy Rose, and she struggled with anxiety. Mm-hmm. And one day her teacher asked her to perform. Mm-hmm. So she found a calming object, mm-hmm. and it got her through her performance.
Really? And so confidence is important, right? Did you ever struggle with having low confidence in yourself?
Yes. Actually, when I was younger, mm-hmm. I was scared to go on stage, and I was scared of public.
Really? Public speaking?
Yes.
But look at you now. You're on Candid Conversations doing an interview. You also do other interviews with other people. There's something coming up, Walk the Runway, I believe, in June, right? I think, LaShonda, it's in June. But she does so many things to build others' confidence. Something you struggle with is now something you can help others get through. Isn't that exciting? Yes. So now how do you deal, and I know this is like off topic, but how do you deal with when you get nervous now? What do you do? Do you think differently? Do you just like, you know what, I could do this? What's your thinking process when you have to get up in front of people now?
I normally just say to myself, you got this.
You got this. So tell them, say, you got this.
You got this.
Yes. So if you guys want to, you will get this book. Okay? No, I'm just they're gonna get it because your auntie says so. If you want to order this book for your daughter, for your son, you need to go and follow Alanna, the author Alanna, on Facebook and Instagram, and the author Alanna with 2 N's. So that's ALANNA.com to order your copy today. Support this young black little diva, okay? She is very smart, educated, and she wants to inspire other young people. What do you hope that they get out of this book when they read it?
I hope that other people can learn more about anxiety and how to use coping skills to help with their anxiety.
Yes, how they can use coping skills to cope. And you know what? That's important because that will help me. How can I cope and how can I get through this? And reading this book definitely will help you. So I'm so grateful that you decided to come on Candid Conversations. Anything else you want to say?
I think I'm done.
You think you Well, like she said, you got this. So be inspired, be motivated, be encouraged that if Alanna can get over stage fright, if she can get over, her lack of confidence in certain areas, that you can too. And don't forget to order her book. You can go on her website, the author Alanna, that's ALANNA.com. And you can follow her on Facebook and Instagram at the author Alanna. So thank you so much, LaShonda. Thank you so much, Alanna, for coming on the show today. I love you guys and I appreciate you. And to my viewers out there, thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that you got something out of today. Remember, you were destined to soar. So go ahead and be fly, okay? And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube, Valencia Danielle. Don't forget to turn your notifications on. And don't forget to follow me on social media. I am Valencia Danielle on Instagram, The Right Agency LLC on Instagram, and Valencia Danielle on Facebook. Until next time, I love you. Have a good day.